तू चलता चल, तू चलता चल, तू चलता चल।
Good morning, sir. My name is Vipin, sir. Hello, sir. Sir, could you please tell me, sir, what is the difference between airborne forces and special forces, sir?
Okay. The special forces are part of the airborne forces for most part, as far as military operations are concerned. But then special forces in times of peace, we also deploy them to counterinsurgency area or sometimes even outside the country. If you have been keeping up with the news, there's a news that the British SAS group, the Special Air Services group, they have a team of about 20 people working in Ukraine, training them to sabotage the Russian military. So those are the special forces. But they're all paratroopers.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Good morning, sir. Arpit here. So I want to ask about, as you said, sir, you have posted in ASTC, and of course, I'm going for the tech entries. So, what do you think, sir? Like, what are the things that a computer science student should prepare for getting to signals? What are the technology that we should know about that, like radio frequencies and most of the things, as you need to be like you are instructor to the telecommunication things. So what is the life of a signal officers at the, like, what is the life of actually a signalers?
To be honest, I'll give you the bad part first and then the good part later.
Sure, sir, sure.
The bad part is signals are considered an arm. In the army, we classify into arms and services. And then there are the fighting arms and then there are supporting arms. So signals is considered an arm, but they don't quite fit the bill. So they don't know what they are. That's my understanding of them. But on the positive side, I think they have an extremely important role to play. Communications is everything in today's warfare. So frequencies and all, I can't tell you what frequencies do, but yeah, they will give you what equipment is needed and train you on that equipment. But you have to keep an open mind and be aware of how technology is changing so quickly that sometimes I found that our military leaders weren't fast enough to grasp the reality, what is happening outside. We were stuck in our time frames of whatever equipment we had. But fortunately, it started changing while I was there at GE, and the younger officers would go and do their MTechs from abroad and IITs. And so it became much better later on.
So one more question, sir. How attachments work? Like as like my father also was in arms and retired from. So he was in this like infantry. I wanted to be an infantryman, but because I have only this choice, the tech entry, so I have to go through signals and get attached to some infantry regiments. So how attachments work, sir? Like as you said, it's a support arm and a combat arm.
So there are two-part answer to that. One is the official reason, or not official, actually the real reason why army. So there's a shortage of young officers in the infantry.
Sure.
Okay. So sending services officers for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years to do an attachment, that serves that purpose, right? From the officer's perspective, you also get to know firsthand the life of an infantry officer. So when later on in your service, you interact with the infantry officers, you know what their life is and what kind of support you should be providing them. Have little more empathy to when somebody reaches EME repair workshop or AC supply depot. You have to understand that guy must have traveled for 2 days or 3 days in a protected convoy from, let's say, Baramulla to come to Srinagar. So it just gives you that context of how the other person's life will be. So you treat him with that respect.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, sir. My name is Adarsh.
Adarsh.
So, as you have worked both in army life and in corporate life, I'd just like you to define both things in 2, 3 words. That corporate life broadly has this characteristics, and army life has this characteristics, and this is the major difference that you have seen. Can you just describe it in that way?
That's a hard question to contextualize the corporate world versus the military. They have both very different aims, right? But one thing common in both is discipline and honoring your word. In the corporate world also, if we say something, we must deliver it by that date and time. Yeah, I don't think I have a better, there's no comparison of the two. If you wanted me to compare.
Others, I will, Arjun, pardon me, I will add a
Yes.
little bit because, I have been exposed though for a very little while to the corporate life of India. Corporate life of India is very different from corporate life of America.
Sure.
क्या होता है हमारे कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में पहली बात तो मैंने ये सीखी कि अगर कोई आदमी आपको हाँ कह देना मैं ये कर दूंगा, यू डोंट बिलीव कि ये कर देगा, यू हैव टू वेट एंड वॉच. और अगर कोई काम जो है ना, लेट अस से यू आर मोस्ट अफेक्टेड बाय कि नौकरी लगने की इंटरव्यू हो गया वगैरह, आपको एचआर से एचआर का राउंड हो गया और उसने बोला कि यार अभी हम आपको बताएंगे. अगर उन्होंने एक हफ्ते में नहीं बता दिया इसका मतलब कुछ नहीं हुआ है, वो आपको नहीं बताएंगे. ये है हिंदुस्तान का कल्चर. आप दूसरी नौकरी ढूंढ लो, ठीक है ना. अमेरिका डजंट वर्क लाइक इंडिया. दैट्स व्हाई अर्जुन डिडंट हैव great difficulties in adjusting to American corporate life. It was because quite systematic and streamlined. यहाँ मामला फर्क है भाई, ठीक है ना.
But
so when you, Arjun, when you will be dealing with clients here or at any organization here, then you would be realizing if a guy promises you something, it doesn't mean he's going to do it.
But fortunately, corporates which are multinational, they bring the same culture to India.
Maybe the services industry may be having that. Manufacturing में नहीं भाई, आप नहीं, मैंने APL अपोलो ट्यूब वाले कहते भाई आप नहीं भरोसा कर सकते.
तो
जब तक वो सामान नहीं आ गया ना और ट्रक लोड होकर नहीं चली गई, वो कह देगा कि ट्रक तो चली गई है, वो सामान बना ही नहीं होगा.
Right. Yeah,
so this is how others Indian corporate works. It's very different. Now I am seeing my son working in the sports industry. वो तो बोलता है कि जी आपकी टी शर्ट तो डिस्पैच कर दी है मैंने, ये धागे की या बटन की कुछ कसर रह गई, वो एक्चुअली कपड़ा भी लाके नहीं काटा होगा उसने. So this happens in India.
I mean that's just a common culture in India, regardless of whether it's corporate or any small business. That's just the
सर्विस इंडस्ट्री थोड़ी बहुत इंटरनेशनली कनेक्टेड है ना, तो थोड़ा इसका वो हो जाता है. लाइक दैट वे फॉर अर्जुन मीडिया इंडस्ट्री, इसमें तो इन्होंने न्यूज छापनी है. इट दैट वे टाइम वाइज थिंग्स आर ओके हियर इन द मीडिया वर्ल्ड.
Yeah, I can talk about the IT sector. IT sector pretty much
IT because more internationally connected. जो बिल्कुल ही यहीं से कनेक्टेड है ना, वहाँ तो मामला हिंदुस्तानी असल वहाँ दिखता है आपको हिंदुस्तान क्या है.
Agreed. I know. And
वो तुम्हें पता चला होगा ना कि तुम्हें अपना कुछ रिपेयर ये करवानी चीजें ना, then you got to know.
Yeah. That is true.
So that's what it is, others,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, within India, stick to the military. I think you'll have good fun.
Reliability.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Kushal.
Hi, Kushal.
So I've been working in IT for 4 years now.
Okay.
In 2018, I joined. So I wanted to ask like two things. Like first, you said that your boss would leave at 2:30 or 3 from office to help his wife. But I rarely see that happening in India because we work for like 9 hours or 10 hours in a day. And we start our day late, as I work for Europe client. So we start at 11 or 2 and we log off at 9 or 10. So we don't see that happening in India. And second thing I wanted to ask, like, do you see that there is very less efficiency when we work in India? Like mostly in my team, I see that only like 40 or 50% of the people work very effectively, not much.
Yeah. So two separate questions you asked. One is about the culture. Right? When I said that the person left at 2:33, that person also came into the office at 6 o'clock in the morning. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not that he would come at 10 a.m. and leave by 2:33. So he would fulfill his commitments to IBM by coming in early in the morning and then go back.
Yes.
The,
Okay.
the point there was not about coming into office or leaving office. The point was that there's no shame in the kind of work that you do.
Okay.
Right. Your second question is about the work culture in India in the IT sector, and yes, you're right. Not everybody has the same productivity, but by and large, if the management team or if your architects, if you follow Scrum, I don't know what kind of work you do,
Yes,
but
yes.
if you follow the Scrum model, you have deliverables, right? Every sprint you have a deliverable.
Yes.
You is there on the wall every day for everybody to see. So there's no escaping.
Yeah.
For the information of others, I think it's an interesting thing that I can elaborate a little bit. So the way the work is done in the IT sector for software development, we follow a process called the Scrum, and in that we divide our work. If the larger deliverable is called an epic, and we divide the epic into smaller user stories, and each user story, based on the effort it needs, is story pointed. So the user story can be 5 points or 8 points or 3 points, depending on how much work it involves. 5 points is typically a 2-week effort on part of a developer. So these are established norms. If somebody has a 5 user story work given to him or her, and they don't complete it in 2 weeks, then there's something wrong and they will be questioned. So there is accountability in that sense. If somebody's work gets carried forward from one sprint, 2 weeks is called a sprint. If somebody's work is carried forward from one sprint to another, everybody must explain why. Because we have 3 times a week we meet, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and everybody gives their updates. And one important update is, do you have any blocker? Is anything blocking you from doing your work? If you have, you can't say, oh, so and so didn't do this, so I couldn't finish my work. Because you are asked every second day, is anything blocking you? So there's accountability that way. Process for this. Does that help, Kushal?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So I keep our team accountable, and I keep myself accountable in that sense.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. This is Neelay. I'd like to know 2 things. First, what were the things that you learned in the aided you in your civilian life, and what were the things that you found a little bit difficult to get out of habit? Second, how do people react knowing that you are a veteran, someone who has learned the military life and combat, who has seen combat? And how do people react in US and comparatively in India?
I think I got the last question clear. I didn't follow the first one.
Sir, the first question was that what skills you learned in the military that helped you in your civilian life, and what were some other skills that you found difficult in getting out of habit for the civilian life?
Oh, got it. Okay. So I think the number one skill is the regimentation and discipline. It just comes naturally. So that helps you no matter where you go, whether it's a corporate world or while you're in the military. So I think discipline, keeping time, and keeping track of your work and delivering whatever you have been asked to do in time is key. And that is key in general for success in life. You have a task at hand, you have a deliverable, you have a date, you know your capacity. Either you augment your capacity or you ask for help, but you must deliver.
Right.
So that skill has helped me plan my work. And the part about difference between how the perception was in the US and India, I think both are similar. India also has, by and large, the population has high respect for military people, and in the US as well, especially because of the long wars they have fought. So they have a very high respect for veterans. Within the company, in my company, we have a program called Salesforce Military, and we offer free training and free certifications to help transitioning veterans to join the Salesforce work. Yeah. I think globally veterans are respected. I think by and large.
Yes, sir. Thank you.